Hey, welcome back to another episode of migrating a Remix app to Next.15. Off video, I already implemented the layouts that I was talking about on the previous video for the admin routes. So I have the sidebar set up, and this actually listens to the admin data that is going to be passed down as context using React context. Let me show you. On the admin, there's a page and a component. The page is a server component where I can load from the server my admin loader data that just contains but this is the actual dashboard. No, this is not the page that I was looking for. On the layout is where this is a server-side component, and this is where I load the admin data DTO. Now this will give me the user, the current permissions, whether it's super user or super admin, and the credits. I guess the credits, it's not necessary because that's for the tenants. So we have this layout, and we are gonna use this context, admin data layout. I created these two files, admin data layout, app data layout, along with the root data layout. Remember that the root data layout contains global context like the default meta tags, the user, the theme, locale, and so on. Now for the admin data, I already showed you user and permissions. And for the app data that I'm not gonna touch in this video, I think, it's the user, the current tenant, my tenant, the permissions, whether it's super user, super admin, and here we have the credits if you want to use them. This is not necessary, and the current tenant subscription. This is one of the important ones, but it can be null because the tenant can be unsubscribed. So on the admin layout, we render the sidebar layout, which is this one, where we have the dashboard, accounts and users, settings, and the switch to app button. Now, if I click here on profile, it will redirect me to an inexisting page. I haven't created that yet. I think I should create the settings now because you can see that the dashboard is now migrated. So I'm not gonna touch that file because it was pretty easy. But I will show you that it was two components, the page, which is the server side component, and the component, which I mark as use client, where I can use path name, use router, use search params, and use admin data, which is the context that I showed you. So I need this settings page. Now this looks like this on the existing Remix application. We have settings and all of these sidebar layout icons. So we want to be able to update an admin. Well, I'm using mock data on Remix. Let me change that to default app configuration to, well, it's Prisma, but I cannot actually update an admin. Okay, but it did update it. There's a small bug. So we want to update the username, like here, my name is Alex Martinez. You can see that it's updated, even though it says could not update profile. So I will fix that in a bit. Okay, so the update user no longer returns anything. You can see that this is a void. So we don't need this check because the update user should update or throw an error. So let me see. Okay, so now on the Remix application, it's fixed. Now I will switch to whenever I use update user on Next and see if I'm returning. Okay, so I don't have that route yet, which is the one that I will create. So we need this admin settings profile page, but first we need this admin settings layout. So I'm gonna go to my routes and go to admin, inside the admin routes. And it's gonna be inside admin, so this will be settings. And here we're gonna have a layout. And just to render anything, we're gonna put here settings. And since this is a layout, it will have a children property, and we can render it here, children. And I'm gonna create a folder for profile, and here a page. So I'm gonna copy paste this so it's easier, and return profile page. Okay, so now we have the layout on the page, but the layout should be just as in Remix, which is like this. It contains a sidebar icons layout, and here it renders profile, general settings, and so on. So I'm gonna copy and paste all of this, but I will replace, like for example, I will remove the Remix specifics, and I will remove the loader because this is just checking if it's landing on the admin settings route. It's nothing there. It should be redirected to general. So I can create a settings route just for that. I already did that for other routes like admin. So I can copy paste that and put it here. So whenever it's on admin settings, it will redirect to admin settings general. Now for the layout, I can now delete this loader that I don't need. Now this is an async function because it's a layout that I can use data, and I don't need this redirect on the client as well. And I cannot use this use translation on server side components. This needs to use server side translations. Now let me see what's okay. So here, instead of the outlet, we're gonna pass down the children. Now let's see. Okay, sidebar icons layout should be marked as a client component, and this is actually still using Remix, so I'm gonna remove that. And I need this component that I created, so I'm gonna go to Remix and see for those tabs components and copy paste them inside the UI. Let's see. Okay, so this depends on Remix as well. Let's take a look. It uses navigate and location. Okay, so we are gonna use router to do this. Use router, but there are two routers, so I'm gonna use next navigation because I think that's the one that the client uses. So on the router, we can push this route path. And then this link should be imported for next link and to href, I mean. Now do the same thing for tabs vertical, although I don't think I'm using this component. Yeah, I'm gonna delete that. I don't want to have components that I won't use. Okay, so here it's using use location because I want the path name for that location. But I'm gonna replace location path name with path name and import this from a next function called use path name, which comes from next navigation. And what else? The link, import from next link. I don't think they have prefetch here. Okay, so it's true or false. So I'm just gonna comment that. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, so now we have this sidebar icons layout that if you make the screen smaller, it renders only the icons, and if it's even smaller, it renders these tabs. And whenever you change, it should, for example, here to general settings, and if I click here, general settings, okay, that page doesn't exist yet. Now the profile page, I need to implement the actions there and the components. Okay, but here, I think this error was from before. Let me see. Location is not defined. Okay, I cannot use location. Instead of search, I think the search parameters are no longer here. I think I need to do it like this. Use search params. So I'm just gonna use that from next. Let's take a look. Instead of location search, just like that. But I think it's something like search params. So I need to convert this search to new URL search params, passing down the string. Okay, so I think that works in the long run. I'm still using location path name in the tabs component, so I need to do the same thing that I did. So here it's path name, and instead of location dot search, it's gonna be search params. and I need these two properties. So path name is gonna come from path name, and search from use search params, and I need a search params that it's an object of type URL search params that receives those search. And I have the same thing for navigation, but I guess I will migrate this when I actually use that. Like for example, new member, I will need that component later. Okay, so going back, I don't have any errors. I can refresh and I can focus on this page, the profile. Now on the remix, I already have that page, admin settings, and you can see that we're gonna use, we're gonna load the data, and the action can be inside the server. I'm not sure. I guess the profile route, it's the only one that it's gonna be a client component, because here I use things like use translation, use admin data, and so on. So I'm gonna copy the component and make a file here, component. I don't know the best practice for Next, by the way, but I'm just gonna put it on the component and name this component like profile instead of profile route, profile component. And use admin data comes from this. Use action data. Okay, so this will be converted to the next actions. So it's gonna be fun. And this form is also gonna be using form actions instead of the remix way. So I will focus on the component later. First, I want to load the things that this profile component will use, like the loader, the meta tags, and the action. Okay, so first, the meta tags. So I don't need this meta export. I will use the contact page to quickly copy and paste this generate metadata, and I can return get meta tags and give it a title. Let me see if I have the title here. Yeah. Okay, I need to import default site tags, and that's the only thing that the loader loads. So I'm just gonna remove that. Now this is the action itself. So we can put this inside the actions file that Next recommends, I think. So we can name this action like export const action profile, but it's gonna be admin profile action. Yeah, like that. We can remove the remix specifics. This will receive a previous state, which is gonna be any, and a form data. This form data, yeah. Okay, so user info is no, it's not an async function on Next, because since we're on the server, we can use the current cookies, access the cookies from the headers, and use the user info right there. The require auth, I don't need request and params here. And form is redeclared multiple times. We don't need this request. And the translations is like get server translations. Okay, so now we can see that we cannot return a JSON. So we're gonna return a status. We're gonna return this error. Let me see what action data contains. So it can contain profile error, and yeah, just like that. So we need to remove this status 400, and this can be null. User ID can be null, but it shouldn't be null. And the require auth, it's actually the one that checks that. So we can bypass this with the exclamation mark. Okay, so no JSON, no status, and I'm gonna replace this with nothing. And similar to here, I guess we don't need these field errors, but I'm gonna leave it like that. I'm gonna remove all of these status 400 and replace return JSON to just return. That way it returns the corresponding DTO. So update a user ID cannot be null, so I'm just gonna declare it that way. And what else? It's still expecting to return action data at the end. So at the end, invalid action. Return null. Okay, so if the user doesn't exist, it should return null, but it shouldn't return null because this action is protected and it's actually returning already an error. We need to import this bcrypt. Let me see where I use this from this bcrypt JS package. Okay, so the action admin profile is ready to be used on the component. But first, I'm gonna declare here the component on the page, profile component. And I guess since it doesn't require any data, that's okay. So I will save this like that. It's already giving me errors of using client component things like use state. So I'm gonna put use client. And use action. Okay, so we need to implement now the remix to next specifics. Now this action data, it's now split like this. Use action state, passing the action profile, admin profile action, and then null as the initial state. And here we can put the action that we are going to use on the form and the pending status. So we don't need this navigation and submit from remix. So let's see where it's used. So for the search params, whenever it's changed, I cannot set it like this with use search params. I need to declare something like use search params. It's not like this. It's instead of like this search params, I'm gonna declare search and then search params, converting the object to URL search params object. So now I can use search params set and delete. And instead of set search params, I'm gonna use a function named replace, which is gonna use let me see the path name. Where's the path name? I don't have the path name. And the search params. Let me see if I'm already using this way of doing it. Okay, I am on other components. So I need this to string. I guess that's redundant, but anyway, I need this path name hook. Use path name. And now we can, and I need this replace. Use replace, or I guess it comes from use router. Let me see. Router replace. Yeah, instead of replace, it's router. So here it's router that replace. Okay, so we're gonna check if change locale works. But confirm delete. Okay. I can't remember how to manually override the form before sending it to the action. And I think I did that on the dev route. So let me see. Yeah, on click. Yeah, I'm calling the action this way instead of having a form. So I create the form and pass it. So I think I will do that here. Instead of calling submit, which comes from remix, I'm gonna use the action and then pass down the form, and the action of the form is delete account because we are confirming the deletion of that account. And we don't need this form from remix, and we don't need this method, and we're gonna pass the action like this, And let's see, I guess, yeah, it's pending status like this. So if it's pending, it's gonna be disabled, this button. And similar to here, the action name goes here. So we're just gonna pass the action like that. We're gonna remove the method. And let's see, I guess, okay, so I need to import this. Where is this come from? I think this comes from, let me take a look at local selector. Okay, I see that it's from languages. Instead of supported languages, it's just languages from I18N settings. Okay. I guess that's it. Let's test the component. You're importing a component that needs server only because I'm using Next headers, or I'm using something here. I'm using like, what am I using? Use translation. Let me take a look at the page. Get server side translate. Okay, so this needs to be an async function. So it's a server component. But that was not it. So let me take another look. Let me see if the generate meta data is the one giving me problems. Nope. It's the profile component. Let me see. Yeah, it's the profile component. So I need to make sure that I am not using any server-side code here. Admin profile from React Next navigation. Yeah, I'm not sure where is this coming from. Maybe from here, from the settings. But no, because locale selector uses that languages object. So let me go one by one. Use action state. Set avatar router. Maybe the router. Where is the router come from? Use router from navigation. So okay, so it should work. So I will do how do I do it? It's loading the component and it's okay, so the actions needs to be marked as use server or server only, I think. Import server only. Yeah, I think it's this way. Let me take another look. You're importing a component that needs server only, but I'm using server only. So let me restart the server just to clear my head. I'm using an action that I'm importing on the component, on the client component. This is an exported action. I still get this error because I'm using get server. Let me see if by removing the translations works, because I have a feeling that that is the error. So I'm just gonna remove this T. No, but I still need. So maybe if I use server. Okay, so it's use server, not server only. So I'm gonna return the translations and make this like use server. Okay, so let's test the first action, which is changing this name. But I need to make sure that I'm running on Prisma app configuration, not on mock data. So I'm gonna use Prisma. So I will be logged out because that's not a valid user ID. So I need to log in again, go to settings. And actually, if you see, I'm being redirected like I should be to general, but I don't have this page yet. So on the profile, I can change my name on the admin user to Alex. Profile updated, but here it doesn't reflect. But if I refresh the page, yeah, it did not change it. And it's actually, let me take another look. Profile updated. So let me see what it's doing. update user. This function should update the user and then clear the cache for this specific user. So I'm just gonna go to the user Prisma DB repository and search for the update one and log whatever I'm retrieving as an ID and as data. Okay, so first name should update correctly. Okay, so now we updated it. I'm not sure what it's going on. Let me refresh again. Currently, if I change like to Alex, let's see what I get. Okay, so I'm receiving. I'm not sure what to do here. I guess I can see the cache on the dev route that I put in place. Here, view cache. So we can see that the cache contains the first name as Alex. So it should put here Alex. Okay, but it took a while. Now let me try again, admin. And view the cache again. So the first time it doesn't do it. I'm not sure why is that. Something is conflicting because the as you can see, the user it's actually updating, but a few after a while. So I'm gonna put this image as the profile picture and see if that works. An unexpected response was received from the server. Why is that? Body exceeded 1 megabyte limit, but that shouldn't be. To configure the body size limit for server actions, visit this page. So let me go there, and on the next config, I should be able to update that, like experimental server actions body size limit to, let's put 10 megabytes. And let's try again, because it was too heavy for the default server action limit. So profile updated, but it's not actually updated. Let me go to incognito and log in as the admin user and see if it's updated. Okay, so it's updated. It's something about the cache. I'm not sure what's going on, but take a look. If I change my name to Alexandro, it's updated. So if I close the incognito tab and log in again, now, okay, so it was not updated. And yeah, the image is pretty big because it's base 64. So it's something about this name. So let me go to my Postgres Explorer and put here my local host and search for, let me see, RockStack Next.js 2. Where is it? Here. Select from user. So here we have the admin, and it's actually Alexandro right now. So let me test hey and refresh this query. So it has something to do with Next.js caching. I'm not sure what is. I guess could be because I'm revalidating the cache, like you saw on user service, where I'm updating the user. After it updates, I clear the cache, and the clear cache, it deletes that key. So it should not longer grab it from the cache. But I guess Next has another way of caching. So I'm not sure how to debug that. But one thing I can do is go to the settings actions and here revalidate the path to see if that works. Revalidate path and put the path that I'm at. So let me refresh and set Alex2. Yeah, that's not gonna do it. I guess after a while, it will update to Alex too, but not right now. But anyway, I'm gonna delete the avatar and wait for the cache to validate that, right? But I'm gonna update my password, which currently is password. So I wanna put ABC123, ABC123. Okay, so that works. And if I go to incognito and log in and put ABC1234 and paste it here and put admin email, copy this, paste it here, invalid credentials. But if I put ABC123 that I just changed, it works. So now the password change, it's working, and I have a little layout error like this. I'm not sure what is going on. Now I need to test whether the search parameter is gonna be updated here. So whenever I refresh the site without that parameter, it's on my new language because it's grabbing it from the cookies. So, okay, so it put the language parameter, but the language didn't actually update it. But because if you see on Remix, whenever I update this parameter, it automatically updates all the language keys. And on Next, I need to do something after updating this parameter. So, but let me see if it works by refreshing the page. Okay, so it doesn't have to do. Let me see if I update the language here to Spanish. So right now it's on Spanish, and if I refresh here, okay, so it's an action. I can no longer use this way of updating the language. So I need to do it the same way that I do it on local selector. And on local selector, you can see that, okay, I need to use this function instead of putting the way that I did, user profile, admin profile component. Let me see on the search parameters on change locale. I cannot do it this way. I need to do it like this. Change the language to lang. And I need to import that from this package, and that should do it because I already have router. So let me see. So right now it's in Spanish. Okay, so now it works as intended. So yeah, I mean, I need to fix this caching issue because you see that it's being updated on the database, but it's not being reflected. Let me take a look if it's on the get user function, get user, like here. I'm just gonna disable the caching so it grabs directly the value from the database. Right now, if I change to Alexandro, okay, so now it's updated. It has something to do with my cacheify function. So that needs to be investigated, I guess. But anyway, this route is complete. I need to go to the next one, which is general settings. Now, how does that look on Remix? It looks like this. We have the application name, and do I really need the application name? I guess because the whole point of this is that you can change the theme on the fly, like on the database, instead of having to override the code and push the changes. But yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it like that, where you can change the application name, the theme, the branding. Like let me show you. If I change the logo, like on the dark mode, let me see what is this logo. No, I need to put an actual image. So I'm gonna put one of my pictures from SaaS Rock. Logo dark. If I update this, now you can see that the logo is updated on the fly. So that's the whole purpose of this general settings. And scripts, it's really useful because you can put analytics scripts here or intercom script for a chat bubble or crisp or anything that relies on head or body scripts. So I'm gonna go to my remix page, the general page, and do the same thing that I did for profile page, which is create the actions, the component, and the page files inside its corresponding directory, which in this case it's general. So I need the page. I'm gonna copy paste the actions and then the component. Okay, so this is the component. So I will delete the loader, the meta tags, and the action, and just keep with the admin settings general component, which is gonna be using the use client directive. And the data, it's not gonna use the remix way. I'm just gonna pass down the data, which is gonna be of type admin settings data. And this admin settings data, it's gonna be defined on the page. Instead of loaded data, I'm gonna replace this as admin settings data and export that. And I don't need this meta. Actually, I need to do it the same way as here. Generate metadata, and the meta tags, it's gonna put this title. And it says that I need the app configuration, but not really, because app configuration is on the use root data hook. But we do need this verify user has permissions function. So I need to use this loader. I don't need this type anymore. Actually, I don't need any data. Just let me make sure. Okay, data app configuration. I can just replace this with just app configuration and grab this app configuration from root data. Like this. And use typed action data. Yeah, I need to convert this action in the Next.js way, which is now pretty easy. We need the pending status, and this is use action state, and we're gonna pass down the action admin general settings, I guess. And this general settings action is gonna be on this file, the actions. I don't need this meta and loader. I need just this action, and rename it to action admin general settings, and use the format of previous state and form data, and return something. And the action data can return success or error. So get server translations. It's not an async. The form is already on the params. Verify user has permission will not receive a request. So I need to make sure to migrate this correctly. Okay, that's it, I guess. Verify user has permission. It's checking that the current user has this permission, meaning has the role that has this permission. Okay, so I guess the action is ready. No, because it's still using JSON, which is from Remix. So instead of returning JSON, I'm just gonna delete it. And that's it. I can now use this action on the component. Import it, pass null as the initial state, and remove the remix specifics. Delete all unused imports. This was using the form from remix, so this will now use action. And I guess that's it. Let me see if it works. Going back, refresh this page. Okay, so page, it's still using, okay, I haven't implemented anything here, so I will, I need this verify user has permission on the component that is the server component. So I need to make this async function, remove the name, and put here verify user has permission. And I guess that's it. We can now re-export the admin settings general component and delete all unused imports. And that should work. Index page layout should be of type client. Yeah. Use client, remove use params from, I need this breadcrumb simple from Remix that I built on breadcrumbs and put it on the UI and remove this link from Remix and port it to Next. Okay, going back, I need to import use params from Next and that should work. Okay, it's the same problem that I got on the other actions. So I need to make sure that on the general actions, use server right here. Okay, Next.js RockStack demo is the app name. So you can see that it's being reflected here. So I can change it. But this should be cached. So I will have the same problem that I had with the name. You can see that now it's being cached. I mean, now it's updated. So hello, it's updated, and refresh. It says hello. Should revalidate path. Let's do that. On the actions, whenever I return success, I'm just gonna revalidate the path because I think this is the way of revalidating the data. But don't listen to me. Okay, so it works. That's the way. So do listen to me. Okay, now this application name, I'm not sure why it's not using. Okay, so like for example here on the profile, no, this is not the profile. Yeah, there is an error on the page. It shouldn't use profile. It should use general no, general title. No, let me see. What's the what was the settings general title? Like this, settings admin general title. Okay, general settings, and here I'm using the default site tags. So even though you're using you change the application name, I'm using this default site tags title, and this is defined here. Like you have some defaults without touching any database. But if you want to override these on your pages, you should go whenever you're using this and replace with get app name. And this is an async function, so it's an await. And take a look at here. It's now listen to me, which is the new application name. So new one, you can see that it's automatically revalidated. So that works, but I'm just gonna leave it like default site tags. Okay, so this works. I'm gonna put the default name, which is Next.js RockStack demo. And if I update it to red and save this, it says that we are getting an invalid URL. Why is that? Invalid URL. Why is that invalid? So it did the action correctly, but it did not update accordingly. Okay, because I'm returning a session here, and this is the Remix way, because on Remix, you redirect. And here it's making a redirect, and on Next, you cannot redirect inside a try catch. Well, but I'm not actually inside a try catch. So maybe just not return it and wait for it to do it on its own. Let me change to green and update it. Now it's, let me just make sure that this is the function that is causing the problem. Okay, so yeah, it is this function. It's updating the theme, and I need to make sure to redirect to a valid route. So I'm gonna return to admin settings general. So let me see if that works. Going back to green. Okay, so now if I change to rows, okay, so now it works. I don't need to return, and I need to pass the specific path that it's gonna update. But that's only for when you're updating the theme. But if I change like the name and the theme, it should redirect. I'm gonna put it like blue and this demos. Okay, so it works. Now, let's see if these images work as well. And the 5 icon and the head scripts. Image source is missing required with property. Okay, because I put an invalid source, of course. And there's no way for me to actually undo this without the component. So I guess I could put it on the try catch. But I will not be able to put it. Let me see. What am I using on the page, on the component that it's rendering an image? Input image. Okay, so here, where's that image? I guess it's this component right here, the one that uploads the file. No, it's not that. It's maybe this one. Nope. Where is it? I can find it. Input image. So just so you know, if I comment this branding group, that's the one that contains, no, because I guess it's using the logo on the sidebar menu. So I need to fix that. Going to my RockStack Next.js, let's see, the app configuration contains my weird images. So I'm just gonna delete from app configuration. Oops, delete from app configuration. And I need to reset the cache, I guess. Clear. Okay. So I need to make sure to not use an invalid image. So I'm gonna use this via placeholder image and make sure that this is being saved. And for I'm gonna put this simple analytics script. Like this. And see if it works. Okay, so this is a problem because I assume that the image can use URLs, and this is a problem. So I cannot longer use image. Let me take a look at where is this error coming from. This comes from the sidebar layout. Yeah. So whenever I'm using image here, I should use the default image. Yeah, like that. But now I have this TypeScript error, so I'm not sure what to do with that. But you can see that now the general settings work and the head script is saved. So if I put it here and refresh, it works. So I'm just gonna delete all of the defaults. And what if I go back to the image? I'm not sure what to do here. I guess this is the problem. If I'm just gonna use a logo that is a string, use the default image tag, but I will have that problem on other components as well. So I need to fix that. Image and pass down these on this source and ask, no, And yeah, just like that. And do the same thing for the other component. But I'm not liking this way of doing it. Get logo dark mode. Yeah, I need to make sure to create an image component. Okay, so I will do that later. Now I can go and create the pricing plans route like this on Remix, where I can create plans that will appear on the pricing page and build that landing page. Pricing page, and make sure the buttons create checkout sessions so this way you receive actual money, and create all of these more routes like auth settings, analytics settings, like are you gonna use simple analytics, plausible, or a Google tracking ID, and the emails, test them with postmark and then test them with resend. This is gonna be like default app configuration. Change this to resend, and you can see, but this should be on Remix. So default app configuration, change it to resend. No, I need to listen to this email provider. Email service. Yeah, I need to fix this get config. Yeah, I need to switch the current email service to listen to this email provider configuration. So this is not from the database environment variables. I mean the environment variables, unless it's the actual keys. But the postmark or recent configuration should be like the Drizzle or Prisma or mock database configuration. And now you have the cache, and I will be doing that, but I don't see the point of recording myself doing it. I guess this is a good enough video. I showed you how I was able to create the admin dashboard, by creating a context, because in Remix you have like the ability to have context using the URL. Like in this case, admin data comes from the admin parent route that I can use on the siblings, on the children routes, by using the use matches hook. But React, I mean, Next doesn't seem to have that. Or maybe they have it, but the way that I found it is with context providers. And it's not actually a problem. I find it pretty easy to have a layout, put there the context data, and I can use those hooks, like use root data, use admin data, on the corresponding routes. But for example, if I want to use admin data on the landing page, like let me show you here on the landing page component. Where's the component? The contact page component. No, the one that I use a custom component with render. Yeah, the newsletter component. Let me show you what happens if I try to use admin data on the newsletter page. Use admin data must be used within admin data context provider. So this admin data context provider is used on the admin data layout, and this admin data layout is on this page, app admin layout. So it makes sense. I'm not a hater of that. It's different ways of achieving the same goal, which is having a global state for your SaaS application, where you can put the user, the permissions, the current tenant, some flags, feature flags, and so on. So let me know what you think of this progress, and hopefully I finish by the end of the next week, at least the Next.js edition, hopefully the Svelte kit edition as well.